In a dark world, remember to be the light. Welcome to Black Swan Revelations. Here is your host, the Black Swan himself, Shane.
How's it going this morning? We got some good stuff for you today. I watched the RNC rally last night, the final night, and I tell you what, that was pretty powerful stuff last night. We had Hulk Hogan, we had Donald's son Eric, we had Franklin Graham. That was pretty powerful as well. It's very rare to hear the name of Jesus Christ during a rally or during a convention, especially a secular or a government convention. So it was heard quite a bit. The Lord's name was mentioned quite a bit in the conference. We also heard from Dana White. That was very powerful. Tucker Carlson. Who else was on there? I think I'm missing somebody, but it was pretty good. Like, it was pretty fun to watch. And then, of course, Donald Trump spoke at the end. Very passionate, very passionate. It was good. Like, can't complain. I thought it was entertaining. I thought the speeches were good. I thought everybody was on the same page. It felt like this is a pivotal turning point in history, what we are witnessing. This is why I keep going back to the event, the shooting, the attempting of the assassination of Donald Trump on Saturday, because I believe it's a Black Swan event, meaning the world has changed now. Something changed. Donald Trump changed. It's not easy to get up after being shot in the face and to say something like fight, fight, fight. That's not easy. But what we're doing on this channel is we're trying to document some of the events of July 13th so that we don't forget about it, because a lot of this footage becomes very difficult to find after a while. It becomes very difficult to find. So this is why I am recording these videos about the assassination attempt. It's not to glorify the event. It's just that what I'm finding is sometimes it's very difficult to find certain pieces of footage. And the only way to kind of hang on to that stuff is to record these live shows for myself and for you, the audience, so that you can come back later and watch this stuff kind of basically in the order that we're getting this information. So there's a couple of video clips, some animations that I want to share with you that kind of put things into perspective. And then there's some suspicious stuff as well going on. Like, I mentioned the names of the photographers, but the rarest footage that I'm having a very difficult time finding is behind the stage, where I guess it would be the Secret Service released the photographers to go around to the front of the stage just before the shooting, like seconds before the shooting. That was suspicious to me, because they're already ducking. Like, the Secret Service was going up to the photographers almost like, okay, go. Now's your time. Go, 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 go. Suspicious. So I'm not convinced that Donald Trump had the best team with him. I understand that it's not easy to protect the president, but to me, there was lots of mistakes made. And I'm just an outsider looking in from every single angle. but they should have whisked him off the stage a lot quicker. Perhaps that's not the procedure until you know that the shooter is down. It's possible. But it's curious as to why the Secret Service released the photographers before the shooting. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. A little bit confusing to me. So I'm going to share footage of that. And then if you have any comments or anything, let me know along the way as well. Feel free to subscribe to this channel. Feel free to email me at the beginning of the show. I put my email address if you have any news-worthy ideas or footage towards this program when we're talking about the assassination attempt. If there's something that jumps out at you that maybe I missed, an angle or something, let me know that as well in an email, and then feel free to comment. If you want to be on my channel, just email me as well. So pretty straightforward. So let's see what's going on here. Hello from Finland. Hi, Eva. This was so economical. What? That was so gross. If you have the true light in you, Jesus, you'll see through this stuff. A woman prayed to the devil God and called her the God, the one true God. Wake up, people. We are about to go home. Both sides are ungodly. Okay. Calm down. All right. So, yeah, like I appreciated Tucker Carlson's speech. Franklin Graham basically gave a salvation message. And it was good, though. It was good. It was a good conference. All right. So let's go to some of this footage here, and let's see if we can piece some of this stuff together here. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Let me find it here. I'm going to play. I'm going to play this video without any sound because I don't want to get, I think because it's from India, sometimes they don't like you showing their footage, even though it's educational footage or educational purposes. Sometimes they, I don't know, they don't let you play in it. So we'll see. So hopefully this will be okay. This is from, where is this from? This is from Times of India, but this is suspicious activity. So we have here, hopefully you can see this. We have here proof of U.S. Secret Service's dubious role. Watch what happens before Trump. Assassination attempt. So watch. So in front of us, we see a photographer. Let me just see who this guy is. This guy is, what's his name? This guy's Javin Boxwood from the Washington Post, and he's the guy that also has a pair of Meta Ray-Bans on as well. So he's just waiting. All of a sudden, Secret Service comes up to him and says, you need to be out in front because the assassination attempt is going to be any second. Sends them, and they start ducking. So there's 3-4 photographers going out. And these ones are the only photographers that are allowed in this pit. So again, just making sure you guys can see this. Okay. So they're sent to go forward. Notice the Secret Service is kind of ducking. And then we get shots fired. But why were they sending them out in front? And why are like that? Like right away, he ducks like he knew what was coming. And then these guys run onto the stage. And here we see the angle. Boom, boom, boom. And we'll come back to this guy in the back here. Like there's a couple of suspicious characters. I mentioned that in the last video where they basically, one guy, I think his name is Vincent. I looked him up a little bit of a weird character. I guess he was also running for the Senate. And he's suspicious because on the right side, I saw him kind of getting into trouble or whatever. And then he switched seats with some people and all this stuff. So that might be another video. All right. Anyways, let's continue on here. Fight, fight, fight. So people are claiming this is an inside job. So again, we have the Secret Service talking to this photographer and then sending them out to the front before the shooting. The timing is weird. And then bam, 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 bam. And then they run onto the stage. So very bizarre. Like, this is very bizarre that this guy gets up to talk to this Ray-Bans guy. Washington Post, send them out to the front. Highly suspicious. Highly suspicious. And then these guys all know what they're doing right away. Second a shot was fired, they run onto the stage. Again, that footage is very difficult to find. It's very difficult, and this is why people are saying that the assassination attempt was an inside job, because the Secret Service were allowing the photographers to go to the front seconds before. There's nobody on the roof. Like, there's all kinds of stuff going on that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So then, of course, they found the gunman. They say he's a 20-year-old Pennsylvania man, injured Trump and killed a rally attendee. And as far as we know, 3 people were injured. 1 person killed, 2 people injured. So from the guy was from a rooftop perch around 150 yards from the stage where ex-president or the former president was standing. So you notice now it's 400 feet to from the location of the suspect to Trump's stage. And we're going to come back to this. Law enforcement snipers. All right, so let's see, what does it say here? Secret Service under scrutiny. Sources have described the shooting as coming from 3 o'clock position of Trump's podium location, with the shots coming from his right side. So let's see here. And then seconds after gunfire rang out, Secret Service counterattack began. Oh, let me back this up here. Back up here. Hold on here. Okay. Seconds after gunfire rang out, Secret Service counter-assault snipers began shooting the suspect, who was found on the top of the roof. I will submit an idea that 7 or 8 shots were fired from the sniper, from the shooter, and the first group of snipers on the roof behind Trump, to his right, our left, did not fire. But in fact, it was the second team behind Donald Trump that fired 1 shot 15 seconds later. 1 shot. So, and I'll show this to you. So that's important. That changes a few things as well. So it's not 3 shots fired and then 4 by the snipers on the roof. It is 7 or 8 shots fired by the lone shooter, and then 1 single shot by the second group of assassins. And Trump mentioned the snipers. I believe he mentioned the snipers that did the shooting. So, all right, let's continue here. Notably, the shooter's location was outside the security perimeter, raising questions about both the size of the perimeter and efforts to sweep and secure the American Glass Research Building. So AGR. I didn't know that's what that was called, but it's the American Glass Research Building, and how the shooter was able to obtain rooftop access. All right, what else do we have here? Slain has been identified as Thomas Matthew Crooks. And just so you know, this isn't animation yet. It's coming up. An AR-15 style semi-automatic was recovered near his body in Pennsylvania. Then we have Joe Biden saying he's going to have a look at their overall handling of what went on. We also got other footage of people being very, very upset and blaming. So let's just see what this says, what these people are saying here. Blaming the media. Okay, so that's the position in front of Donald Trump, probably about maybe 100 feet in front of Donald Trump. So this is where all the main news people were. ABC, NBC, CNN, all this kind of stuff. So these people are actually yelling at the media saying this is your fault.
This is your fault. This is your fault. This is your fault.
So that is interesting, that perspective, because yeah, a lot of people think that it is their fault. So, all right. So that's one piece. So now let's go to the animation and have a look at what is going on, because I think this will put things in a little bit more perspective. So here is one example of an animation. All right, so this is a reporter's perspective with some animation, and I don't know if she's entirely correct on this one, but she is just being fed information. She has to do her job, all this kind of stuff. So take this with a grain of salt, what she says. I'm going to go a little bit deeper than what she says, and I'm going to prove why in some ways she's a little bit wrong. All right. So let's just go into this here. Good morning, Dookie Lukey. All right, let's continue.
We're taking a look at the area where the shooting took place. Now, the former president was speaking here. There were some law enforcement snipers on this roof, and this building over here, that's where the gunman was. Denny Schlinwine says this was the tallest. It's actually one of the few buildings in the area, and that should have immediately been recognized as the site of a potential threat.
Okay, so notice where she pointed the location of suspected gunman's body. That is not accurate. It was actually further towards the top of the screen. I would say it was halfway to 1/4 from the top, one quarter to halfway, almost behind the trees that you see in the middle, where the sign says "Wounded Rally Attendee." So when they're putting a dot there, that is not accurate. Law enforcement snipers on the roof, they're only mentioning the first set. I mentioned the second set there's 3 red barns, one on the left, one in the middle, one on the right. There was a second group of snipers. I am suggesting to you that that second group fired one single shot 15 seconds after the shooting paused. I don't know if the guy's gun jammed or if he ran out or if he was getting a better bead. Not sure. But we do know that 7 or 8 shots were fired, 3, and then another group of 4 or 5. So we're going to be talking about that. But this is their basic animation of what they think happened. And I'm going to play it.
Take a look at what happened.
Seeing the shooting at Saturday's Trump rally hits hard for Denny Schlinwine.
I get cold chills. I think, my adrenaline really starts going.
He knows what it's like to protect former presidents and presidential candidates. He served in the Secret Service from 1976 to 2001 and worked similar political rallies. He says this shooting shouldn't have happened.
I immediately knew the problem had to arise with the person that did the advance work.
The Secret Service goes to sites like this ahead of an event to evaluate potential risks. And he says the building should have been identified and secured.
But
secured.
But I think because the highest place at that site was the place where the shooter was. It'd been an ideal place for the counter assault team. They should have been on that building. I don't know what would happen if that guy would have tried to crawl up there when they were there.
As for the Secret Service detail who rushed toward former President Trump after he was hurt, Schlindwein says they did their jobs the way they're trained.
They waited long enough and they surrounded him the way they needed to surround him, that an agent wouldn't have been hit before he would have been hit.
Some people are saying they shouldn't have allowed him to put his fist up. They should have covered him first. No?
Can't stop him. You can't wrap your arms around him. You just can't do it.
He expects this assassination attempt will lead to changes.
They have learned from this, but I don't think they should have had to learn from it.
He says questions need to be answered and concerns addressed, but he believes these Secret Service agents would have given their lives to protect the former president.
And by George, you take the round. I don't know an agent in the world that wouldn't do that.
And Schlindwein tells me he's not sure why the counter-assault agent stationed here did not see the shooter on this roof before he started shooting. He says, though, if anyone from the Secret Service was aware that someone was on a roof, they would have immediately gotten the former president to the ground. Angela and Rod.
Well, Maggie, we've heard some comments that this building where the shooter was is outside the security perimeter. What were you told about this?
Well, Schlindwein takes issue with that. He says, in his opinion, there is no outside the perimeter when it comes to safety. As the tallest building in the area, it should have been seen as an obvious risk.
All right. Good insight there, Maggie. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So now we have one perspective. From a little bit of an animation, a little bit of a rough animation. So we're going to go to another animation and we're going to start piecing this stuff together. And this one is a little bit basic as well, but then we're going to show animation that actually looks like it really seems plausible when you see this final animation. So let's just have a look here. All right, let's go to it. All right. Let me see if I can find that. Right here. Okay. So let me cue this up. I'm going to set this up here real quick before I show it to you. This is from Asget Industries. So this lady, I believe, created this animation 4 days ago. So she's working on the animation, piecing everything together, and I think this is pretty good stuff. All right, so I'm going to show it to you here. All right.
This is a 3D illustration of what happened in the Trump rally Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. Starting here, President Trump was speaking at the podium. While speaking, a group of people outside of the rally, just 400 feet away, were reporting to police that they'd seen a man on the roof crawling with a rifle. Police seemed not to understand the importance of what is being said. Meanwhile, this person crawling continues up to the ridge of the roof.
That seems accurate, that he's on the far side of the roof, because that's some of the footage that we have from eyewitnesses saying this guy was crawling on the roof. So far, this animation is accurate, because it would have been hard to see him from the sniper's perspective because he's on the downward slope of the roof,
where he can see a clean line of sight to the president.
Right there. Not easy to see. Now you start seeing things from a different perspective that maybe it wasn't a crystal clean shot. Because look at the bleachers behind the president and notice the person directly in front of the president, which actually lines up with eyewitnesses saying the guy was shot in the back of the head. So right here, this would be Corey. There's no way he had a chance to jump on his family and protect them because he's watching Donald Trump speak. And it would happen fast. So he probably got shot right off the bat. And then the president at the same time got his ear nicked.
Back at the podium, President Trump speaks on immigration. In the background, on the building just behind him, you can see 2 Secret Service snipers on the roof. Their attention seems to be drawn in a particular location.
Not easy for them to see the sniper from that perspective because there's a tree in the way.
Which is the direction of the shooter.
Boom. So this again would make sense to me why these snipers were unable to pick up the shooter. It doesn't matter if people are yelling, there's somebody on the roof, somebody on the roof. If you don't see it, it's going to be confusing for the snipers on the roof. So
at this point, the subject takes his first shot. It strikes President Trump's ear. Additional shots were made by the shooter, one striking a man moving to cover his family in the bleachers. The Secret Service snipers were able to zero in on the shooter and take him out quickly. It is reported that...
Again, that's not 100% accurate because there's also eyewitness reports from authorities that it was, in fact, the second group of snipers on the right-hand side that actually fired one single shot and took out the shooter.
Several rally goers were hit by the shooter, including one that had lost his life.
All right, so that's one animation. So let me find the other animation here. So hopefully you're getting something out of this. Is there not audio? Just checking to see if you guys can hear me okay. Duke Luke was saying no audio, but maybe that was earlier when I had my mic off. All right, so let's go find this other animation here. This one is better. This is probably the best animation I've seen so far. So we're going to have a look at this one. Same lady, Asget Industries. Check out their channel. They have about 11,000 subscribers. And this animation is getting lots of views. So let's just go to it right now. All right, let's go to this. Let's check this out. Make sure you guys could see that. Okay, good. Here we go.
This is a 3D illustration of how many bullets were fired and their trajectory that struck 3 people at the Trump rally on July 13th, 2024. This is the area we're going to focus in on. Here you can see the 3 victims that were injured by gunfire and where they were standing in the bleachers. We're going to turn around and demonstrate exactly where these bullets came from.
Again, this is probably the most accurate animation so far because every news reporter is always pointing to the left of our screen, which never made sense from my perspective from day one. I'm like, no, there's no way a guy would be on the left side. Like, that's too exposed. There's no way. And now we're starting to see more evidence that he was actually quite hidden.
This model represents Thomas Crooks. His position can be seen here in this image.
So there you go. Lines up. That image that we're seeing here, that is the farthest. When we're watching Trump on the stage, it would be to the left of us, and this is the reverse angle of the building. So notice there is a body, and it looks like there's probably blood or something trickling down. And that looks like it could be a rifle right there. Just it's a little bit blurred out, but that would make the most sense to me. So he is actually the farthest away to the, if you're doing the reverse angle of this building, he would be on the top side of the building, if that makes sense. My directions are horrible here. I should say north, south. So this, if we were pretending that whatever we're looking at from the screen, if this was from the perspective of the reverse angle, this would be the northern side of the building, and I'm going to show it to you from the other angle here,
which illustrates exactly where he was. Turning around.
So this would be the north side, closest to that side that we just saw. But of course, this is the reverse angle of it. And obviously, if he was shot, he would most likely slide a little bit down the roof as well. So
you can see the path of all the bullets that were.
So there you go. So now you get the shooter's perspective. Not an easy target from here. So you'd have to fire a bunch of shots to get at Trump.
Were fired from this location. I placed a 10-foot red disc downrange to represent what an average shooter could hit easily.
That's interesting in itself. So again, that red dot represents what an average shooter could hit. So let's play it. So there you go. So let me just back up a little bit here. So let's watch the first person right there. See that purple person? I believe that's Corey, the firefighter that died, saving his family's life. Is what the news media outlets are saying. But as you can see from this perspective, that if the shooter was off, if he was low, he would hit Corey. If he was a little bit to the left, he would hit the bystander on the opposite side of the bleachers. And there's two people that got hit there as well. So the first person, Corey, got hit and was killed, and then the other two people were injured very badly. So now this starts to make a little bit more sense as to how these three people got hit. Because again, if you look at the other media outlets, they're going to be showing you a weird angle that's like, it makes it confusing as to why these people were actually hit. But from this angle, now you can see it's because the gunman missed the president and shot these people. That's why they got hit.
Now let's take a look at this first shot fired. Coming from our key location, bullet 1 grazes President Trump's ear. This is the same bullet that hits a spectator in the stands. We know this through video evidence. As President Trump is talking, the first shot rings out just after he says, "Take a look at what happened."
Something to say. Take a look at what happened.
Right there.
We can see the vapor trail of a
Wow, you could see a bullet right there.
bullet strike, which is the same bullet that struck President Trump's ear a split second earlier, and this video is this location here. Back at the podium, President Trump is shot and grabbed his ear, falling to the ground as more shots rang out. In total, there were 7 or 8 shots, so let's rewind and watch this at regular speed.
Take a look at what happened.
Whole different world, isn't it, folks? A whole different world.
With all that gunfire, it's easy to understand how these spectators were injured, even though they were not the target, including the sole spectator who lost his life that day. As we circle around, we can see how all the paths of the bullets were hitting in the location of this forklift machine, causing one of the hydraulic hoses to burst.
That's interesting in itself. So that's all we have so far of that animation. But it's kind of interesting, isn't it? All of a sudden now you can actually investigate that hydraulic lift, and you can actually see where the bullets actually hit a hose and cause the hydraulic lift to come down. So now you could start piecing everything together and say, oh, okay, so the shooter actually fired off a grouping of 3 and then another 4 and then was taken out by the second set of snipers by one shot. Because we know this when if you watch the Trump rally, and I'm going to make another video about this, but if you watch the Trump rally in its entire, it's about a 20-minute piece, basically, if you count leading up to Trump being shot and then the minutes afterwards. When the first shots are fired, there's 7 shots fired. there's a 15-second gap. So you can count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and then there's a single shot fired. That's the second group of snipers firing. They finally got a beat on the guy and took him out with one shot. They didn't have to fire 7 or 8 times. That's not what snipers do. They find their shot and they take it. So hopefully this has helped a little bit more when we're trying to piece this stuff together. So far, yes, gunmen on the roof. By all evidence so far that we've shown, it wasn't easy for people to see him other than the eyewitnesses that were close by, but not necessarily for the snipers because he would have been hidden behind the roof, even from their perspective. And then also, we now get a little bit more of a glimpse as to how innocent bystanders actually got shot, wounded, killed. This is a little bit of a better perspective because now you see it from the angle of the shooter. And then you can see how random it was, where he was just firing bang, 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 bang. And he's trying to hone in on Trump, but he's also missing. He's missing. And it is a miracle that Trump did not get killed. And this was talked about last night at the RNC, the Republican National Conference. They kept saying over and over, if not for God, Trump would not be here today. And I believe that. I believe that as well, that it was divine intervention. So now, what do you do with that now? If you're the president, if you're Donald Trump, what do you do with that? Because again, the first thing that he did was, we need to have unity. We don't need to be going back and forth at each other. So that's kind of interesting as well, because if anything, what he could have done is he could have caused a huge panic, and he could have enraged people, but people were enraged at the idea that he got shot, but not enough to start retaliating. So I think in the next couple of months, there are going to be more investigations coming out. I think there's the person that was in charge of the Secret Service, I can't remember what her name is, should probably be removed, because it does feel a little bit like they knew more than what they should have, because they allowed the photographers to go to the front of the stage to get into position to take their pictures before the shots rang out. That was just weird timing. So I feel like Donald Trump was let down. That's my basic point right now, is the idea that Donald Trump, not that he was set up or that this was fake and all this kind of stuff. I just think they took their eyes off the prize, if you will, which was to protect Donald Trump, and they didn't do their job very well. So hopefully you got something out of this. As I find more stuff, I'll be showing more footage and talking a little bit more about the rally, what's happening next, because don't forget, Prime Minister Netanyahu is arriving on Monday in the United States, and he's speaking at the U.S. Congress on Wednesday. So that'll be interesting as well. Don't forget to join me this Sunday with Rev 5 at 3 o'clock. It's a new time. But usually what we do is we have 5 of us talking about topics about end times, Bible prophecies, the rapture. What does this mean with this assassination attempt? Will there be an election? All this kind of stuff. So we'll be talking about this on Sunday. So feel free to join us. Thanks again for watching. And if you guys have anything that you want me to specifically dive into, feel free to email me right here, blackswandiary2022@gmail. If you want to be a host, or if you want to be a guest on the show, blackswanpodrequests@gmail.com. If you want to support this channel, you could donate via PayPal as well. If you got something out of this, you can, for the price of a cup of coffee, you can donate. There you go. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. Really appreciate you guys. and we'll see you in another video. Bye for now.
Black Swan Revelations here on YouTube brought you today's mind-bending journey. Dive into the discussion, your comments, questions, prayer requests, and powerful testimonies of Jesus' love are what fuel this community. Did today's episode hit home? Smash that like button. New here? Subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a live stream or a video upload. Thanks for being part of today's adventure. Catch you in the next video, or maybe even in the clouds. Stay curious, stay blessed.